Hey, what's going on, everyone? James Hunnebs here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. And today we are at another North Carolina State Board of Elections meeting to hopefully this time witness the certification of We the People Party and Justice for All parties after getting rejected a couple of times already. Now, the last meeting, the Constitution Party was certified, and now they are given until July 23rd to turn in their candidates. So let's hope that today is the day. But this is going to likely take some time for sure. Alright, I guess since we are still going to be waiting for a while, and I really just hope that all this can be like done and over with. We see like, oh hey, someone else just joined. It's okay. Who has joined so far? We got Patrick Gannon, who is a Democrat, Jeff Carmon who is a Democrat, and Kevin Lewis, who I believe is a Republican. We're just waiting for Siobhan Hall and Edgar I think they call him Eggy. Or no, not Eggy. 4. His nickname is 4, I believe. But we're some other people. We got 20 attendees. There's 20 attendees coming in. Wow. I may need to adjust my camera. I'm sorry, guys, for the not so great camera angle, but unfortunately, this is kind of the best I can do without having to tire my arms or accidentally drop my phone. So yeah, this has to happen. Oh, it's Paul Cox here. Oh, it's Paul Cox. All right, let's see. We're waiting for a bunch of more people to come along. We got 22 attendees and 4 panelists. All right. Alright guys, anyways, I'm not sure how long this video is going to upload, but I know that on the computer it's faster to upload than on the phone, so yeah, I don't know what to do or what to expect. It actually kind of took me like quite a few hours to upload the previous State Board of Elections meeting, and but that was because I was recording on my phone. I literally just posted my review for most of the Big Brother 26 cast onto YouTube already, and it didn't take as long. But that was because I was recording on my computer, and I was using my screen to record. So, but anyways, guys, I just wanted to. This was the best way I could do so that I can get you all my reaction to the entire situation, while also being able to record the conversation that's been going on, that's going to be taking place. And now, hopefully, once and for all, that these 2 parties can get certified so that we can have 7 parties on the ballot, and that our state government stops being so damn corrupt. But we know that's not going to happen. Here's Alan Hirsch. Oh, screw you, Alan Hirsch. Oh, God. Okay. There's 5 panelists. We're still waiting on a bunch of other people to come in. Alright. We're still waiting. It's technically speaking, we have like 3 minutes until the meeting starts, and not everyone's here. So, I don't know where they're going, but I really hope this meeting doesn't take as long. Yeah, I'm sorry for the silence, guys. It's just that the meeting hasn't started yet. I came in a little early, but you know what? I think this is what we need to do because I don't want to miss the State Board of Elections being accidentally corrupt. Accidentally exposing itself as corrupt, as the corrupt institution that it really is.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Alan. Can you hear me?
Yep, just fine. Kevin, 4. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. How's everybody?
Doing okay.
Not on vacation, so not doing as well as you are.
Well,
At least I brought the appropriate attire with me.
there you go. I appreciate your interrupting your vacation for this.
Yes,
Paul is also on vacation, and I see he's here, so thank you, all of you, for doing that. There, you look like you're on vacation. That looks better.
Sorry, Kevin, you must have packed a suit. I didn't pack a suit.
All right, we have a couple of minutes to go, so
It's all right. It's about to be 10:30, guys.
At the public line sounds good.
okay. So Pat, any public is able to hear what we're hear and see what we're doing?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And we have 50 attendees and counting in the public queue.
Okay, very good. All right, we're waiting for Miss Millen, so let's do that. It is actually it's not quite 10:30 yet, so.
All right. Hopefully,
Now with electronics, all these clocks match, right? What's on your cell phone, what's on your computer, what's on your... No, they do not.
They do not.
Oh, here comes Marshall. Candace Marshall. Okay. All right. We're still waiting for the other one. This meeting's going to be a hell of a nightmare. Oh, wait.
Jeff, while we're waiting, what is that background that we see behind you?
It's my fraternity shield.
Aha.
All right.
It's in honor of Congressman John Lewis.
That conference table, I assume, is not your home.
No, this is all virtual.
Oh my god, I'm not looking forward to the more of the BS that's gonna happen. Just please, for the love of God.
All right. Hopefully Siobhan will be on in just a moment.
Hopefully she doesn't, because she's a Democrat and she voted no to certification.
Oh, I got a text from her. It looks like she's in, but she's an attendee. So, oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Her to panelist, so
Promoted.
There's 70 people.
Well, I'm not sure what kind of promotion
There's a lot of
that is,
people.
but
There's quite a lot of people paying
Yeah, it's
attention.
interesting language. It's the WebEx software's language to move someone from attendee to panelist.
all right, Siobhan, we don't see you. Can we hear you?
There you are.
There you are.
Sorry about that. It kept putting me in as an attendee and not a panelist, and I apologize. I don't know why that happened, but I apologize.
That's all right. It's 10:31, so I think we can live with the 30-second delay.
Thank you.
All right, everybody ready to go? And
Yeah, one second. Let me go ahead and hit the record button, and I will turn it over to you now.
okay. And Pat, I just want to confirm that the outside line is open and the public is able to not participate, but view our meeting. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. It's loud and clear.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Mr. Carmen.
Here.
Mr. Eggers.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Mr. Lewis. I see you here, but I don't hear
Here.
you. But that's okay. I can tell you're here.
Here.
Miss Millen. All right, and the chair is here as well. Conflicts of interest, as we always do at the beginning of every meeting. Understand that both state law and our practice is to ensure that there are no conflicts of interest. Does any member of the board have a conflict which would affect their decision on any matter we have before us today? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. I'm noticing that we don't have approval of the minutes on the agenda that you prepared for board members, Lindsay. Are those minutes ready to be approved?
We have not had a chance to make the edits that have been suggested by board members, so that is still a work in progress and not ready for approval today.
Okay, and four, you were the one that had some suggestions, so you're satisfied to wait till the next meeting to approve those minutes? Okay. The next item on the agenda is county board appointments. Lindsay, this is yours.
Mr. Chair, we have 2 nominations from the North Carolina Democratic Party to a vacancy on the Jackson County Board of Elections. The first name submitted and the preferred choice of the Democratic Party is Roy Burton Osborne. The alternative name submitted is Mary Ann Lochner. It is ultimately within the board's discretion to select among the nominees, but the board has historically followed the recommendations of the political party. Staff sees no reason not to do so in this instance, but again, it isn't within the board's discretion. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Members of the board? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Carmen.
I move the state board appoint Mr. Roy Burton Osborne to the Jackson County Board of Elections.
Okay, moved by Mr. Carmen, seconded by Ms. Millen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is unanimous. Next item, petition for modification of early voting plan. Paul, you want to take this one?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So when the board met last month to consider early voting plans, one of the plans before it was the Brunswick County plan. It was a non-unanimous plan originally, and the board adopted a plan for it consistent with the statute 163-166.35A. Subsequently, the Brunswick County Board came to find out that one of the locations that they had selected for early voting is not actually available to them. This is the St. John's Community Center. And they determined that rather than go through the process of trying to have a sort of force the early voting plan on that community center, they all, the board unanimously determined that they were going to find an alternative site, the Oak Island Moose Lodge. So the board, the county board has unanimously elected to petition the state board to modify the plan that the state board adopted, that original plan, which included a site that they cannot now use. And they're recommending that plan be modified to include the Oak Island Moose Lodge instead of the St. John's Community Center. We think that this is something that the state board may do. The state board, of course, took the vote to adopt the plan for Brunswick County. Obviously, anytime we have a situation where we have, a practical impossibility or something, we want to work with the county boards to make sure that they can make the early voting plan work. This is one of those situations. So we recommend to the state board to consider this as a modification of the plan the state board has adopted for Brunswick County.
Okay, members of the board. Discussion, debate.
Chairman, I know Mr. Lewis and I had voted no on the original plan, but I think this comes to us now as a unanimous recommendation of the county. Is that correct, Mr. Cox?
That's right.
Okay. I'm glad they could reach unity as to their proposal.
Okay. Further discussion, members of the board? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Lewis.
I just wanted to also add that I voted against this plan the last time. I don't recall all the issues, but I'm sure part of it was that the plan adopted by the majority included 2, I think, Sunday voting days. And so that doesn't appear to have changed. So my vote is going to be the same as it was last time.
Understood. Any other member of the board? Okay, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion. Having considered the submission of the Brunswick County Board of Elections to modify the early voting plan adopted by the State Board for the county on June 4th, 2024, I move that the state board find that the county's early voting plan provides adequate security of the ballots and sufficient provisions to avoid allowing persons to vote who have already voted. I further move that the state board find that the plan, because it includes a site in lieu of the county board office, provides adequate coverage of the relevant county's electorate. I further move that the state board find that, because the plan includes a site in a building that the county board is not entitled to demand and use under GS 163-129, no other equally suitable sites were available, and the use of the site chosen will not disproportionately favor any party, racial or ethnic group, or candidate. Finally, having made these findings, I move that the state board approve the Brunswick County early voting plan for the November 2024 general election as modified by the county board.
Okay. All right. Ms. Millen has moved, seconded by Mr. Carmen. Further discussion, debate? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
I guess we should have done this by roll call, but I'll just repeat that all members of the board voted aye, other than Mr. Lewis, who voted nay. Okay, very good. And Kevin, of course, we know if there's Sunday voting, you're going to vote against it. Understood. Temporary rules for deadlines, county board consideration of protests and recounts. Paul, this is you again.
Yeah, so the board took this up last month as well. I believe at the same meeting as the early voting meeting. Staff had recommended some temporary rule changes governing election protests and recounts, which occur in the canvass period. We're recommending some firmer deadlines for county boards of elections to consider election protests and decide them. Also for county boards to conduct recounts in the canvass period or post-canvass period. The reasons for this were to make sure that we didn't have post-election proceedings that dragged out unnecessarily, that we had were able to get to firm conclusions and finality for these post-election contests, but to provide reasonable amounts of time in there. The board instructed to have a public comment period where we accepted comments via online submissions to the state board's website, email submissions to the rulemaking account by the state email account, and also regular mailed submissions if anyone would like to submit those. We received only about 4 public comments, written public comments through the email portal, the online portal. We also held a public hearing here in Raleigh, where one person attended to provide comment. So not a whole lot of interest in providing comment on these. Hopefully that's an indication that they're fairly non-controversial and are addressing an issue that there's consensus about. So the staff is not recommending any changes based upon the public comment that was received. I'd be happy to address any questions the board may have on these. But we'd recommend the board adopt these rules so that we can put them before the Rules Review Commission in short order, so that we can make sure that they're in place before the general election.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Members of the board. Questions, comments? Mr. Eggers?
Yes, sir. I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, I think these strike a good balance between the need to move quickly, but also the ability for the counties and the county attorneys to have time to deliberate and do it the right way. So I thank staff for their work on that.
Okay, further comments? If not, is there a motion?
Chairman, I'm happy to move, sir.
Okay, Mr. Eggers.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the state board adopt the temporary rule as proposed by staff in 08 NCAC 09.0110, and further move that the state board adopt the temporary amendment to rule 08 NCAC 02.0110 and 08 NCAC 09.0107 as proposed by staff, and further move that the staff be permitted to make any technical changes to the adopted rules to conform with the rules review commission's guidance.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Carmen. All right, so moved by Mr. Eggers, second by Mr. Carmen. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Carries unanimously. Thank you for the work on that, Paul, and staff. All right, now it's time for new party petitions. We've
Finally.
discussed this at some length, so let's take these two serially, beginning with We the People. And Lindsay, I assume all the materials that have been submitted are on the website. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So the petition before us is We the People. Discussion or debate? Ms. Millen, I know you have something you would like to say about this, so we can recognize you now if that's appropriate.
Oh my God.
Appreciate it. I'd just like to take a couple minutes to speak about the legal situation with this party, and it applies to both parties.
Oh, fuck me.
And if you'll indulge me for about 5 minutes.
Of course.
My concern is, in addition to the results of our staff inquiry, which I think Lindsay's going to talk about, I think North Carolina law is being misapplied. Last year I believed, and so I voted, that No Labels was not a true political party, but an effort by a 501c4 to obtain a ballot line and that they could deliver to a candidate of their choosing. This year we have a different situation with two groups calling themselves parties. Our job is to look at the circumstances and see if they actually are parties.
Yes, they
People
are.
of good faith can disagree on that question. The North Carolina General Assembly created a statutory scheme with several methods for ballot access, but the two that concern us here are General Statute 16396, providing for petitions for new political parties to get a ballot line. That statute requires 14,865 signatures from qualified voters. North Carolina's General Statute 163-122, though, provides for petitions to place unaffiliated candidates on the state's ballot. That statute requires 83,188 signatures from qualified voters.
Both of these statutes are
Because
bullshit.
the two statutes concern the same subject matter, petitions for ballot access, North Carolina precedent dictates that they must be construed using the canon of in pari materia on the same subject matter, meaning that the two statutes are to be read together. In other words, statutes dealing with the same subject matter must be construed in pari materia as together, constituting one law, and harmonized to give effect to each. As a corollary to the in pari materia canon, the statutes have to be construed in a way that does not render one of them superfluous. Each of the two statutes, moreover, envisions a role for the State Board of Elections that goes beyond simply rubber stamping petitions reviewed by county boards. With regard to GS 16396, this board is tasked with determining whether the petition is one for the creation of a new political party. The statute also requires the organizers and petition circulators to inform the signers of the general purpose and intent of the new party. And it is our duty as a board to determine whether there was compliance with that requirement. The purpose and intent of a new party cannot merely be to place a particular candidate on the ballot, because that is the subject matter of GS 163-122.
What?
The statutory structure, in
man.
other words, makes it clear that a political party is intended to be more than a transitory entity designed to be a vehicle for a single candidate. In fact, a new political party that qualifies under GS 16396 could, if it hits the 2% of the vote, be qualified for the ballot again in 2026 and 2028. In the words of the U.S. Supreme Court, a political party contemplates a statewide ongoing organization with a distinctive political character. There are at least 6 established facts that demonstrate that with respect to both the Justice for All Party and the We the People Party, the purpose and intent here is to place an individual candidate on the ballot and not to create a new political party.
Oh boy.
First, both candidates, Mr. West and Mr. Kennedy, Dr. West and Mr. Kennedy initially indicated that they were going to proceed with their candidacies using the independent candidate method outlined in GS 163-122. And I have here the petition we received from Mr. Kennedy in, I believe it was November of last year. I'm sorry, I'm not high tech. I'm just going to hold it in front of the camera. I've crossed out any address, so there's no personal information. But you can see that unaffiliated is circled or checked, and you can see that there is an endeavor to get signatures from 83,188 qualified voters. Dr. West also stated his intention to run as an independent candidate on October 5th of 2023. Then in January of this year, they each decided that at least as far as North Carolina was concerned, they were going to try to get on the ballot via our new party petition process.
Oh, come on,
All right,
man.
second, with respect to Mr. Kennedy, the scripts used by his petition circulators indicated that the sole purpose of the party was to secure a place on the ballot for Kennedy as an, quote, independent candidate, unquote, stating, quote, we are creating a new independent third party called We the People to put Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the ballot in November. He is running as an independent for the office of president. In fact, in his speeches, that's a close quote, in his speeches, he calls himself the independent candidate. Independent of what? Wikipedia and common sense define an independent politician as a politician not affiliated with any political party or bureaucratic association. The scripts for Justice for All also indicate that the sole purpose is to place candidate West on the ballot. For example, JFA provided the board an elevator pitch example. Quote, hi, I'm volunteering with Dr. Cornel West's campaign to ensure we have a choice beyond the mainstream candidates in 2024. Can we count on your support to help him get on the ballot? Close quote. As we have heard, or we're going to hear, staff spot checking indicates that a significant proportion of the signers of both petitions did not know they were signing a petition to form a new party. Third, with respect to Dr. West, he stated that he was forming JFA as a mechanism to travel the path of least resistance that will require the fewest number of signatures to get on the ballot.
Yeah,
Further,
our
as
state
the
is
JFA
restrictive.
chairman frankly admitted at our earlier meeting, JFA simply posted its petition forms online where anyone could download them and entirely lost control of the petition circulators who were circulating its petitions. We know that petition circulators for Justice for All were circulating petitions at political rallies for one of the two main established parties and stating that the purpose of the petition was to hurt the other party by putting Dr. West, in their words, a Marxist, on the ballot. Fourth, both candidates, Kennedy and West, by their actions have demonstrated that their purpose is to get on various states' ballots by any means necessary with no regard to the particulars of a political party. What do I mean? Mr. Kennedy will be on the ballot in Colorado on the Libertarian line. In California, he'll be on the line of the American Independent Party of California, which of course was the George Wallace Party. In Michigan, he's the nominee of the Natural Law Party, which is part of an international movement of parties aligned with transcendental meditation. In South Carolina, Mr. Kennedy's running on the ballot line of the Alliance Party of South Carolina. In Florida, Mr. Kennedy's running on the Reform Party line, the old Ross Perot Party.
Cool.
In Delaware, Mr. Kennedy is the nominee of the Independent Party of Delaware. In Texas, Mr. Kennedy is apparently running as an independent, and his team has collected 245,000 signatures to get on the ballot. In Nevada, Mr. Kennedy is also running as an unaffiliated or independent candidate, but his candidacy is under fire in that state, partly because of the inconsistent fact that he's running on all these small party labels in other states. This litany leads to the obvious question of how a candidate can be unaffiliated in some states, aligned with pre-existing third parties in several states, and starting a new party in yet other states.
Because
Only in states without a pre-existing party whose ballot line he believes he can obtain by this method does the We the People Party come into existence, and that is the situation for Hawaii, Mississippi, and potentially North Carolina, where the so-called party serves as nothing but a special purpose vehicle for Mr. Kennedy's independent candidacy. It's a similar story for Mr. West. In June of last year, Mr. West said he would be a candidate of the People's Party. Then later in June, he added that he would be on the Green Party's line. On October 5th of last year, he said he would be an independent candidate, and he dropped the Green Party. In fact, Politico reported that day that West stated that he, quote, believes the best way to challenge the entrenched system is by focusing 100% on the people, not on the intricacies of internal party dynamics, close quote. Yet on January 31st of 2024, he announced he would found the Justice for All party in states where that was the most expedient way to get on the ballot. In Colorado, Mr. West is on the ballot as the nominee of the Unity Party. In Utah, though, he's running as an independent. In South Carolina, he'll be on the ballot as the nominee of the United Citizens Party of South Carolina. In Oregon, he's the nominee of the Oregon Progressive Party. In Alaska, he is the nominee of the Aurora Party. I'm listing all these alternative methods these candidates are using in other states because they speak to the issue of the purpose of the North Carolina putative parties. If their purpose is just to, quote, get Bobby on the ballot, unquote, or get Dr. West on the ballot, that effort is in actuality an unaffiliated candidacy which should fall under the 163-122 statute. Fifth, only after we started raising issues about whether these were authentic political parties did each of these parties come forward with other candidates for office, a mayor here, an NC House candidate there. But that attempted post hoc rationalization is itself evidence of the pretextual nature of these so-called parties. Finally, the fact that members of one of the two dominant parties are for the first time showing extraordinary solicitousness for Cornel West, an avowed socialist, and for a member of the Kennedy family, is itself an indication that what is at play here is that North Carolina voters' desire for political options is being cynically exploited to circumvent North Carolina law in order to put individual candidates on the ballot with 70,000 fewer signatures than the law requires.
You created this problem! You, the Democrats and Republicans, created this
Thank you,
damn
Ms. Miller.
problem!
Further comments, members of the board? Yes, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. I don't really think that we need to hunt for, what is a political party, because the General Assembly has defined a political party in 163.96. And as I read the statute, the definition is just any group of voters who have filed the correct number of petitions, which in this case is 14,865. That's what a political party is. It seems to me that the General Assembly has enacted a public policy that would favor candidates' access to the ballot via a party as opposed to an unaffiliated, because they've made it more difficult to access the ballot as an unaffiliated candidate. So
Thank you!
I don't think statutorily there's any issue with a party being formed for the sole purpose or a purpose of just putting their preferred candidate on the ballot. It seems to me that's the General Assembly's policy, is that it prefers party candidates on the ballot as opposed to unaffiliated candidates. So that doesn't really give me any problem if part of their purpose or if their sole purpose is to put their preferred candidate on the ballot. And it seems to me that both these parties have filed in excess of the required number of petitions to form the new party. And the ones that have been called into question certainly falls well short of reducing the number of petitions below the requirements. So that just it seems to me we don't have to really hunt for what is a political party when the plain language of the statute defines that for us. Thank you.
Okay. Other members of the board?
Mr. Chairman, would it be appropriate to hear from Ms. Wakely as to what staff has been working on and what you directed them to do?
Yes, but we have two different, we're examining each of these political parties differently. So separately rather. And right now we're dealing with We the People. I think most of the work that staff did was with Justice for All. Is that correct, Lindsay? Yeah, so let's defer that until we get to Justice for All, if that's all right.
Well, yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I would just say I would concur with Mr. Lewis, because the legislature has expressed a preference that candidates run as party affiliates and not independents. And you can disagree with this process, but that is the process. And it sounds like other states in the nation do this very same thing, which really begs the question of why are we sitting here today trying to prohibit ballot access for legitimate candidates who are seeking office? From the numbers that we have the We the People Party is 4,444 validated signatures over the requirement, and Justice for All is 3,276 validated signatures over the requirement. So the bottom line from that, especially considering our long-standing history, that if we are going to look into something, any information we receive has to be outcome determinative and not just speculation. The bottom line becomes that these parties have the necessary signatures and must be approved. And that's where I believe Mr. Lewis and I have been before, and I don't believe that the information that's been presented through the review of this by staff presents anything different. So I think that we are bound to approve these parties whether we like the candidates running or not, or whether we intend to vote for them, or whether we're concerned they're going to take votes away from one of our preferred candidates. The bottom line is they have the necessary signatures and they're entitled to approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Eggers.
Yes.
Let me just express my own view. Again, we're talking now about We the People, the Robert Kennedy Party. I agree with Ms. Millen. I think this is a subterfuge. But having said that, just looking at the words of the statute with purpose and intent, I think it's a very, very close call. And I am going to reluctantly vote to recognize We the People, even though I believe there has been subterfuge.
No, there hasn't. That's
Fundamentally,
BS.
because I think that it is such a close call that ultimately a court would have to decide it. And
The court would rule in their
therefore,
favor.
I'm not sure the board should be the one that is standing in the way. If someone wants to challenge that in court, they are welcome to do so. I think they have a good case, but again, I think it's a very close call.
No, it's not. You would lose. That is BS.
All right. Mr. Carmen, you haven't spoken. Would you anything you'd like to say? Not necessary, only if you like.
Report.
All right. In that case, I think we need a motion. Again, this is for We the People, the Robert Kennedy Party.
But before I make the motion, I do want to thank Member Millen for all that she's dug into.
Oh, fuck her.
Making sure people are not being taken advantage of. I think that is something that
She's done the opposite.
is critical as we sit in these seats to make sure that outside of all of the nonsense that people are saying, that we're truly doing what we should to protect citizens of North Carolina.
No, you haven't.
With that being said,
You have not
I
protected.
move that the state board
You haven't protected
recognize
anything.
the We the People as a political party under the laws of North Carolina.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All right. It's moved by Mr. Carmen, second by Mr. Eggers. Let's do a roll call on this one. Mr. Carmen.
Aye.
Mr. Eggers.
Aye.
Ms. Millen.
No.
Mr. Lewis. All right, and the chair votes aye as well. So
4-1.
the vote is 4-1 to approve We the People.
Yes! And screw you, Miss Millen. You did the same thing for no label.
I think
Screw
we're ready
you.
to move on to Justice for All. And Lindsay, this is where you directed staff to do some analysis. Do you want to give us a brief recap of what you found?
Sure, and just as an initial point, a copy of these results have been provided to board members in advance and is also posted on the state board's website. what we did is attempted to contact a list of 250 individuals who signed the petitions for Justice for All, just to start to help understand how we came up with that list of the 250. So of the individuals whose signatures were approved, we first ran a report to sort of limit that group to a list for which we had an actual phone number in the voter record for that individual. So sort of a pre-sort based on the availability of a phone number, and then we created a random list of 250 individuals to contact from that. So of the 250 attempted contacts, we were unable to reach 201. We were able to reach 49 of the petition signers. Of the 49,
you cherry
18
picking.
individuals told us that they did not sign the petition. 3 individuals told us that they could not recall if they signed the petition or not. And then we conducted an additional interview with 28 individuals who acknowledged having signed the petition to go over sort of the same series of questions we talked about with the last set of calls that were made, trying to understand, what was communicated to them about purpose and intent. So the results of those 28 interviews have been put in a table to provide to for y'all to review the results of those questions. We have also noted the county, a county, but not the name of the individual whom we spoke with. Again, I think there's a fairly mixed result in terms of what we received from those interviews, but I'll let the results speak for themselves. Certainly happy to answer any questions you all may have about the process that was used or the results.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'm going to take the liberty, folks, if it's okay, to run through what I think is the sort of the underlying facts of this Justice for All question. As we know, 13,865 signatures are required. 17,141 were actually submitted. But you may remember from the testimony, the chair of Justice for All, Mr. Medelius, said that his group only submitted 4,000 signatures. And the remaining signatures came from somewhere else. One place that might be included with that is this group, People Over Parties, POP for short, which you may recall reached out to Mr. Medelius and asked whether they could gather signatures for Justice for All. And they are, well, I'm limited in what I can say, but simply say there has been for several weeks now an investigation of fraud with respect to collection of some signatures. These were identified by county boards. In any event, in order to learn more about this, we issued subpoenas to Justice for All, to Mr. Paul Hamrick, who is the leader of that group, and to the 3 people that he engaged as part of that operation. It was a pretty simple subpoena. I'm just going to take the liberty of reading what we asked them to provide. Documentation of the names and contact information of all the organizers and petition circulators. Documentation about the numbers of signatures collected, corresponding signature pages by each identified organizer and circulator, and documentation about how organizers and petition circulators made petition signers aware of the purpose and intent of the Justice for All party. Mr. Hamrick refused to comply with the subpoena. He's an attorney. He said he represented 2 of the 3 others, also refused to comply. So what we have is a petition collector for whom we know nothing about what they're doing. We certainly, if there were time, if we didn't have a general election coming up, and of course, we all know that this is a time-sensitive issue, we would search for a great deal more. But what we did do is what what Lindsay talked about a moment ago, reached out to 250 people. We only had 49 responses. That's not unusual under the very tight time constraints. But if you looked at 18 of those 49 said they did not sign, and another
or you just harass them to just say it.
Recall signing. There were 8 or 9, depending on how you analyze that chart, who were not told the purpose and intent of the party as required by law. So taken together, it's well over half of those that were reached in a random sample. Now, it's true, as Mr. Eggers said, that we have to have something that's outcome determinative. But
you
given
don't.
that 50% and more of these signatures,
that's too small a sample,
are highly questionable. That if that were applied to the total, it would bring them well below the requirement of signatures. And we all saw that video the other day. I realize that's just one item, but there's no telling how many others were done in that way. Obviously not with the correct purpose and intent. So anyway, that's my sort of analysis of where I think we are. And I'll open up to the board for discussion and debate.
Ms. Blakely, were some of these that were contacted the ones that Clear Choice Action directed you to?
No, they were. Lindsay, you want to answer that?
Sure. We did 2 rounds of calling. The first rounds of calls we presented at the last board meeting. Those were specifically in response to the statements that were received about individuals who wanted to sort of take back their signature. That was a different set of results than what we did with this most recent group of calls.
So as I understand it, 4 of these were random calls.
Well, I will say, not in the history of my knowledge of this board have we ever taken a random sample and then extrapolated that polling to try and undo a decision that we've had before us. By my rating of this, we have 30 folks who have told us they did not sign, which still leaves this fishing expedition with 3,246 more signatures to go before you get under a threshold. I understand that you don't like independent signature gatherers, but the statute doesn't limit that. It doesn't limit folks hiring signature gatherers, and that's the process for getting a new party on the ballot.
Yes.
So, I don't think that the threshold has been met to show that this suddenly invalidates the 3,276 signatures that the Justice for All Party is over the threshold. So I think they still have submitted a significant report to us that these are sufficient verified signatures that were done by the county boards of elections and that they're entitled to proceed as a party.
Thank you, Mr. Eggers. Other members of the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Lewis.
Once again, I think the statute defines, what a political party is, and it's a group of voters that submit the appropriate number of petitions. And we know what the petitions say. The petitions say that it's being signed to establish a new party. Justice for All has submitted well over the number of petitions required. And if we don't approve them as a new party in the state of North Carolina, based on talking to 49 people, I think that would be injustice for all.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Further comments, members of the board?
Just echo the chair's remarks that it's not the number, the time constraints we were under is limiting us as to the number of people we can speak to. It's the pattern that is noted. If more than half of the randomly selected people have a problem, whether they don't remember or they absolutely didn't sign it, that pattern is troubling.
I literally get phone calls every day, and I just either ignore them or I
Mr.
just
Carmen,
click talk,
anything you'd like to add?
click talk, and then hang up.
Realize that I'm the only remaining member from the CD9 hearings, and the only member here from that investigation that started with people realizing that they had been misled.
Oh,
It is unfortunate that we don't have enough time to see how valid these things are, how deep they go, what the pattern was. And it's unfortunate that people over party didn't give us more information. And it's tragic that
I think they're just lying.
Justice for All here in North Carolina can only account for 4,000 of the signature petitions that they turned in. I'm also the only member on this board that sat through a hearing where someone said that their camper was going to be their place of residence until they built a house. And to my understanding, a house hasn't been built yet. I say all of that to say there's enough ill intentions are going around where people have used the statutes to get around what their true intent is. And as a result of that, I think that is what I see here.
Okay, and I'll just say, from my point of view, I have no confidence that this was done legitimately. And the 4,000 that were turned in by the party itself, the proposed party, I do have confidence in those, but the failure of this outside group to refuse to give us that simple information simply adds to that story. So in short, I have no confidence that the number of signatures here have been
get ready for a
required by
freaking
statute have been met.
lawsuit, mother.
All right, I think we've all had our say. Anything further before we move on to vote? Okay, is there a motion? Ms. Millen, you want to do this? Or?
I would move that we not accept the petitions of the Justice for All party for certification as a official party in North Carolina.
You better.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Carmen. Any additional comments before we vote? Okay, we'll do the roll call. Mr. Carmen.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote, sir, I would like to say I do think this board is making a tragic error in not deferring to the verified signatures that have been determined through our county board process. With that being said, I am mindful there's been a certain ad campaign around the Raleigh Triad area targeting my Democratic colleagues, which I don't believe is an appropriate way to proceed with discourse and things. So although I strongly disagree with the direction I think this vote is going, I do appreciate the service of my colleagues and their thoughtful consideration of these issues.
I don't believe that crap. Come on.
I appreciate those remarks, Mr. Eggers.
I don't. I think it's BS.
Okay, we were doing a roll call. So Mr. Carmen voted aye. Mr. Eggers?
And now I'll vote no.
Mr. Lewis? Ms. Millen?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will not recognize Justice for All as a party
on
the grounds discussed earlier. All right, that's the last item on our agenda. Anything further from any members? Staff, anything further we need to do? Okay, and for members of the public and for staff, the phone calls and the results of them that we discussed that led to these questions about justice for all are posted on the website. And with that, I think we're ready to adjourn if there's a motion.
So moved.
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Lewis is always the first one to move to adjourn. Second by Mr. Carmen. All in favor? Opposed, nay. All right, we stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
I cannot believe what I just heard. Okay, first of all, congratulations to the We the People Party for officially being certified. And you know what? Fuck the state board elections for what they did to Justice for All. To the people that are from the Justice for All party, if you are listening out there, you have to sue us, just like what the Greens did. You need to fucking sue, because what has happened is complete and utter bull. This is not different from what has happened to the Greens. I was so happy for the Republicans for the most part, until I heard what Mr. Egger said about praising them for their concerns, and I'm like, that is complete and utter BS. And this is why I do not believe that the Democrats and Republicans are different. This is infuriating. And I agree with the Libertarian Party of North Carolina that these 3 Democratic board members need to resign. I agree with the Libertarian Party of North Carolina, Justice for All, We the People, the Green Party, the Forward Party, the Veterans Party, and the Constitution Party, that these parties should be certified. And Justice for All being rejected is complete and utter BS. I cannot believe this. They need to frickin' sue. And I think they have a case. I hope they win their frickin' case, or else our state is done. With that being said, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I don't know how enjoyable this really is, because I'm pissed off about what the hell just happened. And I'll see you guys later.